Hi, everybody. Welcome to English Digest. I'm Tom.
Hi, I'm Stephanie.
It's our TOEIC unit as we continue with the month of November and things start to get cold. And maybe you're making some preparations for your winter vacation, which will be coming up in just a couple of months. And if you're going on a winter vacation overseas, you're probably going to be taking an airplane.
Yep.
But remember, sometimes there are what we call delayed flights. For one reason or another, the flight can be delayed. That means it will be later than usual, later taking off, later arriving at your destination. And that's what seems to be happening in today's TOEIC unit as Chloe deals with a flight delay.
I hate flight delays, don't you?
I do too.
Yeah.
But as it says in the article here, sometimes they are inevitable.
You know, it's funny. Tom and I were talking before we started about delayed flights that had something to do with mechanical problems and how, I don't mind those so much. I mean, they can fix the plane. I'd rather wait a couple hours than die in the air. So let's go ahead. We're going to go through this. I'm going to play Chloe, of course. That's a girl's name. And you're going to have to be the agent, Tom.
And the announcer, too. So let's get to it, everybody. Let's read through the entire contents of today's lesson, and we'll be right back. May I have your attention, please? This is an announcement for all passengers set to depart on AMC Airlines Flight AM686 from Taipei to Singapore. This flight has been delayed due to a technical difficulty. Please check the departure's information board for more information or contact the gate agents at Gate C7. We apologize for the delay.
Excuse me. I'd like some more information about flight AM686 to Singapore.
I'm afraid that the flight is delayed by approximately 4 hours. Our new estimated departure time is 6:30 p.m.
I'm really upset about this delay. I have a connecting flight to Sydney that departs from Singapore at 8 p.m. There's no way I'll be able to make that flight now. What am I supposed to do?
Is your flight from Singapore to Sydney also with AMC Airlines?
Yes. Here's my flight information.
Since you have a connecting flight, we'll try to book you on another flight to Singapore that leaves as soon as possible. If this won't allow you to transfer to your current flight to Sydney, then we will rebook you on the next available flight there.
I hope that's possible. I'd also like to know whether I can claim any compensation for a delayed flight.
If we're unable to book you on a replacement flight that arrives in Sydney within 3 hours of your original arrival time, then yes, you will be eligible for compensation. All right, everybody, let's talk about how to deal with a delayed flight. What you do when you have a delayed flight. To deal with means you have a problem and you need to make some arrangements to solve that problem. You need to deal with that problem. And the announcer begins by saying, "May I have your attention, please?" This is usually how an announcement begins. Hey, will you please listen to me? This is an announcement for all passengers set to depart on AMC Airlines Flight AM686 from Taipei to Singapore. So this sentence here tells us what this announcement is about. An announcement is some kind of information that is made through a loudspeaker system, and they tell you about some facts or something that has happened, or they give you some information that you need to know. So they make an announcement. As I said, usually it is spoken, and so they're using some kind of public address system here, and this announcement is for all passengers who are going to depart on a flight to Singapore from Taipei. So usually, of course, when we talk about flights, we depart, we leave, and then we arrive, we get to our destination.
Right, and if you go into the airport and look at some of the boards they have, one will be called departures. So the departure is a noun and arrivals is the noun form to arrive. So yeah, they have their own sort of lingo, their jargon if you're flying in the airline industry. So this flight, unfortunately for this person, was delayed due to a technical difficulty. Tom was telling me that his most recent flight, one of his flights had a problem, but they were calling it main maintenance. And he said, oh, mechanical problems. And the flight attendant said, no, maintenance. Maintenance is mechanical problems. So I'm not sure why she was so unwilling to say mechanical problems.
Well, there might be a difference there. Maintenance means maybe they're cleaning the windows or something, or putting oil in the engine or something.
On the seat.
Could be. They could have had some kind of problem, but in any case, they were calling it maintenance as opposed to a mechanical problem. I'll talk about that later when we're discussing this in our our discussion questions later on. But in any case here, yes, there has been a delay.
Yeah.
And, of course, they are trying to depart from Taipei to Singapore, and this flight has been delayed because of a technical difficulty, which means probably the engine or something. Please check the departures information board for more information or contact the gate agents at Gate 7. So, yes, indeed, you probably need to do that if you're making a connection for your flight. Check that information board. Look for your destination. They usually have the destinations alphabetized. So look for your destination. Look under S there, Singapore. Yes, there's the flight to Singapore. AMC Airlines Flight 686. There it is. And then that should give you the information about the updated departure time.
Yeah, and if you're in Asia, of course, they'll flash the arrivals and departures in the native language of the airport, and then they'll move it to English. So you have both. No, where was I just recently? I think it was China. London was only English, but when I was in China, they had the Chinese characters, and then that went to English as well. Look for your airline and the airline flight number if you're having a hard time finding the city. So, technical difficulties can happen in a lot of different things. I know when our TV was having problems broadcasting, then the station would come with this, announcement, and they say we're having technical difficulties. So something's wrong with the machinery in some way. So you can check these information boards as we talked about. And a gate agent, it looks like a flight attendant, but they're on the ground. So they work at the ticket counter where they, process your luggage and they sell you the ticket. Or those nice men and women who stand right by the gate where you depart. Those are gate agents. Some of them fly and are flight attendants as well. But some of the people who work for airlines would prefer not to fly. So they take up these jobs as gate agents.
I guess you don't have to travel all over the world and adjust to different time zones and bring your clothes with you and stuff like that. But again, when my flight was delayed, of course, there really wasn't any announcement at all. You had to look at the board yourself and see that the flight was delayed, or go to the information desk, which is separate from the gate, and ask them for updates. And again, here, they apologize for the delay. Now, Chloe goes to talk to the gate agent, and she says, excuse me, I'd like some more information about flight AM6862 to Singapore. So she heard that announcement there, but, she needs more information. As we find out, she's going to have a connecting flight. So, of course, the delay of this flight affects her connecting flight. So she needs more information about that flight to Singapore.
That's a mess when your first flight is delayed, so you can't get to the connecting flight. Oh, that's a pain. Well, the agent says, I'm afraid that the flight is delayed by approximately 4 hours. If you don't know the exact time of something, you can use that word approximately, or you could use the word by about 4 hours, by approximately 4 hours. So they're not sure how long it will take. It could take 3. It could take 6. So we're hoping it doesn't take that long. But the agent says our new estimated departure time is 6:30 p.m. They'll try to give you a time where the delayed flight will actually take off. It's not always possible immediately, but if it's estimated, again, it's a good guess. It's not exact. So if you don't take off at 6:30, don't go back to the gate agent and yell at her or him.
Right. It's not their fault. It's out of their control. So they don't know exactly when the problem is going to be fixed. So they're giving you an estimate. Their estimated departure time is now at 6:30. That's about a delay of 4 hours, give or take, 20 minutes or something like that. Approximately 4 hours. Chloe says, I'm really upset about this delay. I have a connecting flight to Sydney that departs from Singapore at 8 p.m. So she's flying from Taipei first to Singapore, and then she's going to switch planes and fly from Singapore to Australia, which is where Sydney is, and that's the connecting flight. So I can give you my recent itinerary of when I went back to Iowa to visit my folks. My first flight was from Des Moines to Denver, and then the connecting flight was from Denver to San Francisco, and then the connecting flight from San Francisco to Taipei was also a connecting flight. You could call that a connecting flight as well. So I guess I had 2 connecting flights.
So Chloe's upset. I understand her feelings. I've been on delayed flights a lot. So she's afraid she's going to miss that connecting flight, and that's the long flight. So if you miss one of those, sometimes they don't have many long flights each day. I'm talking about ones that go from one continent to another, like the flight from Japan to the United States. They may not have flights every hour, which I doubt they do. So she's going to be kind of bummed, kind of disappointed. If something connects, it puts 2 things together. So we call that a connecting flight. And like Tom said, you can change planes or switch planes. Zhuangji is what you guys say, but we switch planes, change planes. You need to know some of that vocabulary before you fly in case someone doesn't understand Chinese. So, yeah, she's really kind of bummed. And she said, there's no way I'll make it now. That usually happens if there's a real bad mechanical problem. You get so delayed that you have to either spend the night in that airport, which sucks. But sometimes they can get you out faster, or they'll put you on another airline. That's happened to me before, too.
That hasn't happened to me before, but one time I was flying from Pittsburgh to Chicago, and there was a lot of wind in Pittsburgh, so the flight was delayed, and hence I missed my connecting flight from Chicago to Des Moines.
Yeah.
So I had to get a later flight on the same airline, but I guess sometimes they put you on a different airline. It depends on the situation. And the agent is trying to get some more information about Chloe's flight. He says, well, is your flight from Singapore to Sydney also with AMC Airlines? Is it a connecting flight on the same airline? And Chloe says, yes, here's my flight information. So she must have the information printed out. She's got her itinerary there with all the flight numbers and the departure times and stuff like that. So she gives the agent the information so he can help her solve her problem.
Right. Nowadays, most flights are connecting flights because what the airlines do is they fly to their major hub. They all have one city or one airport, at least one airport. In the United States, I was just talking to Tom and saying United Airlines, they have a hub in Denver. San Francisco is probably their biggest hub. But they'll fly from smaller cities to the hub, so you have to change planes at that point, get onto a bigger plane for a more long-distance flight. And it sounds like that's what Chloe's flights were like as well. So since she has a connecting flight, the agent said, we'll try to book you on another flight to Singapore that leaves as soon as possible. Sometimes they can just, either get you on another flight, or if you're in an emergency, and I had an emergency I had to perform that night, so they put me on another airline's flight.
Okay, so they must have some sort of agreement with other airlines sometimes, if that happens. I think it's probably cheaper to go to your destination all on the same airline. If you switch airlines, then it probably is going to cost more. I think one time when I went to the U.S., I took China Airlines, but China Airlines does not fly to Des Moines, Iowa.
True.
They're not going to go there, so I had to take some other airline there. And so the ticket, I guess, was probably more expensive. But in any case, again, the agent is going to offer her some help here. He says, since you have a connecting flight, because you have a connecting flight from Singapore to Sydney, we'll try to book you on another flight to Singapore that leaves as soon as possible. So when you arrive in Singapore, we'll try to put you on a flight that goes to Sydney from Singapore as soon as possible. Obviously, her earlier flight would have already left. She will have missed that flight, so they're going to try to get her on another flight that gets her into Sydney as soon as possible.
Right. So if this new flight that they're going to hopefully get her on won't allow Chloe to transfer to her current flight to Sydney, then they'll rebook her on the next available flight there. It's kind of a mess. Once you miss one flight, it affects all the other flights, and it's just a hassle. I always go by that desk where they're rebooking people, and I feel sorry for all those folks. But it happens to all of us at one point. If you transfer, guys, it means you go from one place to another. You might want to transfer your money from one bank account to another bank account. You might be moving, and your job is transferring you from one office to another office. So you can transfer lots of different things. So you're moving from one thing to another, or moving from one place to another.
Yeah, basically what's happening here, I'm not sure I was understanding this earlier, but they're trying to get her on a different flight to Singapore so that she still might be able to make her connecting flight from Singapore to Sydney.
Right.
So then you have to transfer. And then, of course, if she's unable to transfer to the current flight to Sydney, if it's still too late, then they will rebook her on the next available flight to Sydney. Yeah, she'll still be late, but not as late as she would have been if she waited for the original flight. And Chloe says, well, I hope that's possible. I'd also like to know whether I can claim any compensation for a delayed flight. So if you get compensation, that means you're given something in return for something that you have suffered. It's some kind of award that you get because you've lost something. Maybe you've been injured or something like that. You can get compensation, for example, if you were injured or something, and the insurance will compensate you for the cost of the operation or whatever. That's kind of what insurance is. It's sort of compensation.
Yeah, there's a type of compensation called workers' compensation, or as we call it, workers' comp. If you're injured on the job, the company will make sure you're compensated for lost work or suffering, things like that. The agent says if you're unable, or if we're unable to book you on a replacement flight that arrives in Sydney within 3 hours of that original flight that she had, then yes, you will be eligible for compensation. I would make sure you know what your airline's compensation method or compensation policy is before you assume you'll be compensated. I haven't been compensated for a long time for delayed flights. So see what your particular airline has in place for their policy. So if you're talking about a replacement, you're talking about something that takes the place of something that is no longer available or there. You could be leaving your company and you could say, hey, my replacement is going to be John Taylor. So he is the person who will be taking over my position. So hopefully they'll find her a flight that can get her to Sydney in time to take that original part of her ticket. If that makes sense.
And, of course, if you're eligible, that means you fit some qualifications to receive some kind of benefit. You might be eligible for a scholarship, for example.
Yeah.
If your grade point average is above a certain number, etc., you could be eligible for a scholarship to your favorite university. And, hey, that brings us to the end of our discussion. Now, hopefully, Chloe will get to Sydney, and she'll be able to check out the Sydney Opera House before it gets too dark. Okay, right now it's time to listen to our Chinese teacher, but we'll be back with some extra dialogues and a discussion question.
Hi everyone, my name's Jenny. 今天我们要看的是第2单元。好，这篇呢多益的文章主题是谈的是当飞机延误的时候，也就是说航班误点了，那怎么办呢？好，我们先看一下延误、误点用的一个字是 delayed。A delayed flight， 那就是指你的班机延误了。好，对话里面呢，先听到广播员就说，现在呢是 AMC 航空公司的这个 AM686 班次的班机，它要从台北出发。好，它当然对象是准备要搭乘这个航班的人，那准备好要搭机离开的这些乘客，你看到这个动词 depart 当然是指这个飞机要飞离这个机场。那我们知道相对的动词呢就是 arrive。那 depart 这个动词它的名词形式在往下的地方就会看到是 departure， 所以 departure 它其实指的就是指离开，飞机要起飞这个离开的名词。那相对的刚刚说到 arrive， 它的名词是 arrival， A-R-R-I-V-A-L， 所以当你看到航班这个资料呢，它写的是 Departures Information Board， 那你知道这是指起飞的资讯告示板。那相对的我们提到了飞机抵达的时间就会用到 arrival， 这两个字彼此之间是相反的。好，那在这个对话里面呢，当然他提到说其实很抱歉，因为这个班机现在延误了，所以呢就有一位旅客他想要进一步知道到底怎么回事。那服务人员就告诉他说，哇，这个班机会延误了4个小时，到6点半的时候呢，大概这个时间才能起飞。那 当然，这样子的说法，当然让旅客非常的生气，因为他说什么？这一位旅客他晚上8点，可是有一班这个转接的班机在新加坡这里，然后呢，他准备搭这个飞机，然后搭到雪梨。可是从台北出发这头，如果晚了4个小时，对他来说，真的他应该没办法赶上那一班的这个转接的班机了，所以他非常的生气。好，那我们看到这个地方当然有几个名词，还是一样，在机场里面大家都会看到的，比如说 connecting flight。指的就是转接的班机。好，那他说这边用到 I will be able, I don't think I will be able to make that flight. Make that flight 意思就是赶上那班班次，那个班机了。好，再注意前面这里有一个片语，他说到 There's no way I'll be able to make that flight now. 什么叫There's no way. 其实口语中往往也没有提到 there is, 就直接讲 no way, 那就是不可能。看起来我真的是不可能赶上了。再往下读这个对话内容，当然对服务人员来说，最重要的一点就是要让你的顾客满意，要让乘客们知道我们会竭尽所能的来帮你，让你达到飞抵目的地。所以呢，这一位服务人员就告诉他说，基本上因为你有转接的班机，所以呢他一定会想办法帮他预定另外一班，然后让他赶快就能够坐到新加坡去如果真的有状况的话，他们也会在新加坡那边再帮他预定下一班，让他很顺利的飞到他的下一个，也就是雪梨这个目的地。好，那我们看到在句构上呢，大家会注意到这个服务员他用到一个字 since。他说 since you have a connecting flight, 这个 since 它基本上就是一个连接词。那我们知道用 since 有时候它的意思上会表示自从什么时候开始，不过在这一边的 since 它是代表一个原因跟理由。那我们语气上呢，就好像是说因为这样的关系既然是这样的原因，那我们会怎么样。所以 since 它是可以表达原因的，这样子的一个连接词。那到后面呢，当然这番的解释对乘客来说他也希望这样没有问题，不过他有一点他要问一下有没有办法获得这个所谓的赔偿。假如说班机最后延误了，那你们有没有赔偿的方案？所以他说我想知道 whether I can claim any compensation for a delayed flight。Whether 这个地方也是一个连接词，当然你知道它意思就是是否有没有这个可能，有没有办法，然后它后面呢接的这个子句当然就是整个是名词子句，当做前面 no 的受词。那这个子句里头还有一个重要的字就是 compensation。 我们知道 compensation 它是代表赔偿，那后面如果说是因为什么原因而做的赔偿，那你要接介系词 for。OK， 我们今天的讲解就到这边，我们下次见。
We're going to take a quick break. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Okay, let's continue with some extra dialogues. I'll be A. Where can I get more information about AMC Airlines' compensation policy?
You can find it on our website. I was just going to say that before I read the answer. Just go to the airline's website, check out what their compensation policy is. You'll probably be disappointed. Here's the next one. I'd like to make a complaint about this problem.
You can find an electronic complaint form on our website. So that's kind of typical here. If you want to make a complaint, they're going to say, well, you can't complain to me directly. You have to go online to the website and fill out a complaint form there. And because it's on their website, we're calling this an electronic complaint form. Fill in the information there and keep your fingers crossed. Maybe someone will contact you with some compensation. Who knows? Okay, here's the next conversation.
Cool.
Is there any more news about flight AM 686?
Yes, I'm afraid our new departure time has been delayed again. The new departure time is confirmed at 7:30 p.m. So sometimes that happens. They tell you that, you're going to leave approximately 4 hours after you should have. And then when that time comes, they delay once again. So they're probably having a big problem with the plane. Sometimes they have to fly in a replacement airplane for your plane if the mechanical problems are really severe. Okay, Tom, here's the question that we got at the bottom. What's the worst flight delay you've ever experienced?
Well, actually, I found it an enjoyable experience. I think it was many years ago, again, flying from San Francisco back to Taipei.
Yeah.
This time on EVA Airlines.
Right.
First of all, they said that the flight was delayed by 3 hours or something like that because of maintenance issues.
Right.
And then they finally said, well, actually, the plane needs a whole new part and it's got to be sent in from someplace else. We won't be able to depart for another 12 hours or something like that. The flight was supposed to leave like at 6 p.m. and they said, well, now we're going to be leaving tomorrow morning. Okay, so we all packed on these tourist buses and went to a motel or a hotel somewhere in the South Bay somewhere. And it was kind of cool. We had a hotel room there for a night, and in the morning we had a big breakfast buffet and stuff like that.
They pay for your meals, yeah.
They paid for all that stuff. And I guess at the time, I wasn't really in a hurry to get back to Taiwan.
Good.
Maybe my job was not starting for 2 or 3 days. So, hey, another day in San Francisco? What the heck, we'll take it. But I know other people were bothered. How about you?
Oh, yeah. Sometimes I will actually book work in Taiwan on the day I fly in. So it's very important that I not have a big delay. I can't even think of something that was really bothersome. I think the hardest delays for me is when I've already made the long flight from Taiwan to the American continent, and then you're delayed for like 6 hours and you've been up, without sleep for 24, 30 hours. That's hard. One time I had a bad flight. I didn't get any sleep for 46 hours. I'll never forget. It was horrible. Wow. So I'm not good with flight delays. I prefer to just get on the plane at the time that I thought I would. Yeah.
Well, considering weather conditions and all sorts of unforeseen factors, it's a wonder the planes get to where they're going.
I know.
At all. So I've had pretty good luck with all the flights I've taken over the years, with a delay here and there.
I try never to fly into airports during the winter where that city has snow. I try to avoid, like Denver. I never go Denver.
Could be very scary indeed.
You'll get delayed by the weather.
But in any case, that's an interesting discussion question that we've had, and hopefully the discussion that you have will be just as interesting as the one that we have just had. And it's time to say goodbye, everybody, so thank you for joining us. And please join us again next time when we talk about claiming compensation for a delayed flight.
Cool.
From all of us here at AMC, I'm Tom.
I'm Stephanie.
Goodbye.
See ya.